Welcome to another episode of Wisdom on the Front Porch. Of course, your front porch is anywhere you gain knowledge, inspiration, insight, and wisdom. And today we're going to learn about the wisdom from Crystal and how she got to be where she is today. So, Crystal, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about you.
Hello, I'm Crystal Robinson. I live on the East Coast, just south of Boston in Massachusetts, near Plymouth. I am a lifelong learner. I love to learn. I have been an engineer, mechanical engineer for over 30 years. And that was my corporate job, I guess you could say. And my life had changed over the past, I would say, 10 years and really evolved, where I found my calling and I became a transformational coach and holistic nutritionist to heal and help others heal.
I love that. I love that you found your calling. How did you do that?
I think most of it was all the catalysts in my life, all the um, things that had happened in my medical history. I had a lot of medical issues, medical traumas, medical conditions that I had to heal and had to deal with, autoimmune conditions, like the body keeps the score, and had to really kind of dig into the mental stuff to really heal that more so than just the exercise and the nutrition, because that helps, but it's not all of it. So I really dug into those things, specifically losing two family members that I was very close to, including my father.
Mhm.
And I think the biggest catalyst was the brain tumor. I had a brain tumor,
Wow.
and that was life threatening. And I had to have it removed. I had brain surgery. And that was very, very scary. And that really kind of pushed me over the fence into, more of my spirituality, more of my creative place, in such a way that it was what fulfilled me as opposed to
Wow.
just what I was good at and made money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. Wow. I just can't imagine. It's hard to even know how to comment on something like that, to go through so much of it. Um, so I guess I want to ask, how did going through that, um, I don't have to know the details. That's not what I'm asking, but what was it about going through that, or what happened during it that you said, all right, the medicine is working, but I need to get my mind straight. I mean, why would you even think of working on your mind for something like that?
I found that I was living in a victim mentality,
Okay.
that the more that I lived in whatever sickness it was, whatever medications I was on, it didn't get better, right? It helped you sustain, but it didn't solve.
Okay.
So, and I felt like there was so much more that I would miss out on, I'm not living. I was stagnant. I was existing and not being. And it was really important for me, for my family, my kids, um, myself, just to actually feel like I was living my life and not just going along with the status quo.
Drifting down the river instead of enjoying the
Paddling.
river. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wherever the river takes you, I'll go. It doesn't matter if we crash into this rock on the rapids. But yeah, taking charge. I'm not going to say control because you can't always control everything, but you can take charge of yourself and your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so going through all of that, you know, I'm going to ask you, what is your why then for helping other people? I mean, I can come up with some real quick, easy answers because it helped you. You want to help others, and I like that. But why do you really want to do this? Why did you really pursue an entrepreneur career?
There's really two reasons, right? One of them was the system's not set up for people to succeed, right? The medical
Okay.
system. It's not set up for people to succeed. They're given, very little time. They're given fixes for symptoms. They're not given help with the root cause. or
Okay.
like the overall wellness that they need in order to succeed. And I found that through my journeys, and it was very frustrating. And I wanted to fix it,
Okay.
make it so that that was available to people. How could I make that available? How could I give what I learned to others? And it was also, being a woman in a very male dominated career for over 30 years
Yeah.
and dealing with a lot of the toxic work environments, toxic people, things that I shouldn't have dealt with that I did. That really kind of pushed me, that you don't have to do something you don't like to do just to make
Right.
money.
Right. So true. So true.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of society, or maybe your parents or whatever you're grown up with, is, well, you can't do that. You're never going to make something of yourself. It's
That's
why people
such
become,
negative words.
struggling artists, or, oh, I can't
Yeah.
be an artist. Like I remember as a child, people telling me, you can't do that. You won't make any money.
That's so sad, but yet
It is.
so many people do, and they make very good money out of it.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's a misconception. It's a limiting belief. But if that's
Right.
put on you when you're young, it becomes part of your process. It becomes part of what you
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
It becomes a belief. And then you don't start checking your beliefs until you're older enough to really be like, well, no, this isn't true.
Yeah.
You know? And it took me a long time. I was in my 40s when all this stuff was kind of going on. And now I feel like, okay, I'm really questioning everything now.
Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah. It's interesting to think that, the world was male dominated for so
Mm,
many generations. And yet, even during all that time, there were still women who were running businesses, who were doing things. I mean, I think about Bible times where, especially the one with Naomi and Ruth, and, here Naomi's husband died, her sons died. And so she had to go back to her other family because she didn't have access to anything. She didn't own land. She didn't own anything like that. And so you go back to your family and someone there's going to take care of you. But there are women in the Bible who were running their own business. There are women in society from years ago. I mean, we have queens,
yeah.
they, I'm not going to get into the royal stuff and all of that, but did have women making a difference throughout all of that. And it was tough. You talked about toxic environments, that's it's really sad that um, when you're a co-worker or something, but yet because you're a woman, well, we can just take advantage of the situation because you're just a woman. And it's like, no, you can't. That's not right. But now we're in a time where, our parents probably said, women aren't supposed to do these things. So they say women can't do these things. And
Mhm.
it's like the man works, the woman stays home, takes care of everything. And there is nothing wrong with that. I was a stay at home mom. I encourage other women that are stay at home moms. Yeah, it's tough, but you have a great responsibility there. But everyone has a choice. And if you choose to work for yourself. So, so you don't have some of those, and some things still happen, but it's not, you don't feel like your job and your career and your livelihood depend on it because now you're the boss, you know,
Yeah.
and make sure that there is no toxic environment because you're the boss. It's kind of a roundabout way to say that, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's interesting how much it's changed over the generations, and it's still changing even now. And some have gone, you know, tip the scales too far the other way. That now the women become aggressors because this is what men did all these years, and now I get to do it. And it's like, well, we need to check ourselves. That's all I'm
Mhm.
going to say on that.
Yeah.
Let's
Or
talk
just find the
about
balance, right?
yeah. Yeah.
find the balance. Because I still see it, today in some places. It just depends on, it's the generational trauma.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
goes from one to the next to the next, and you still see it. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's right,
Yeah.
but I find that I'm seeing more people question, or more people just being, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm
Yeah.
going to do it my way, which I think is amazing, right?
It
It's
is.
empowering
And
to see others just jump
yeah.
in.
We have to be careful doing that though, because are we doing it my way because no one's going to tell me what to do? Are you doing it your way because that's how you're going to make a success of yourself?
Mm.
Something interesting happened, and I don't know why I'm saying it now. It doesn't seem to fit, but maybe it does. When I just went to the UPS store the other day, and before you get there, because it's in a shopping center, you have to wait for the people to cross through the crosswalk at the grocery store. And there were a lot of people crossing that day. There must have been 15, almost 20 people that I waited for. It was, I just got there at the right time. Everybody checked out or was coming in at the same time. Only one person looked up to me and waved to say thank you for waiting, because a lot of people get really impatient. It's like, hey, I let 5 people through. It's my turn to go through now. But I thought, there's no hurry. There's nobody behind me. I don't need to be in a hurry. One person out of all of those 15 to 20 people waved to me. And you know who it was? I'm going to see if you know. How would you describe this person? What do you think?
Somebody who is actually present,
Okay, let
like
me go
actually living
surface.
in the moment and not thinking about everything that was coming up.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think they physically look like?
I would have no idea because you really don't know.
You don't. It
Some
was,
people would surprise you based
yes.
on,
And I
their
was waiting.
enlightenment.
Yeah, it was. And I'm going to say it because I think it does make a difference. It was an older gentleman who's leaning on his walker with his veteran hat on. You can tell he was military. And he stops. He looks directly at me. He waves his hand, says thank you, and then walks on. And
Hmm.
even while he did that, 3 people walked beside him and didn't look one way or the other. And I'm thinking that's so sad. I always, wave my hand or try to do something, to let people know that even if there is a stop sign there, I don't care. They're taking the time to be kind, because I've been around when people aren't taking the time to be kind, honking the horn, revving their engine,
Oh
come
my
on,
gosh.
hurry up, whatever it is. And it's like, I'm going as fast as I can. But
Yeah, but you're
yeah,
also like enjoying that, right? You
nice.
noticed
Yeah,
this man,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And he noticed you, and there
yeah,
was a connection. Even if it was fleeting, that's
yeah.
what the human experience is about,
That's it.
right? It's not about rushing across the crosswalk to get coffee or whatever all the other people are doing.
Right.
They're
Yeah,
not living in the moment.
right. And
And
I
that's
understand that
comes
we're
back to like
busy.
why I became an entrepreneur, right?
Yes,
Because I felt like I
exactly.
wasn't living in the moment. I was living for everybody else's moments.
You're right. Right. Yeah. And I think when I finally found my path of what I wanted to do, it was because I stopped living what everybody else was saying was the right thing to do. And
Mm,
I went back to why I even discovered this world in the first place. It was the books. And through that, I found podcasting, which I love because I get to talk with so many wonderful people like yourself. I mean, I love doing this so much. That's why I've got 3 podcasts now. One I don't talk to anybody, but the other 2 I do. And I do. I just love it and I don't want to give it up. Somebody says, "Well, are you making money at it?" And I go, "No, I just started." And they go, "Well, then it's a hobby." And it really kind of pierced my heart. It's like, so it's a hobby. I'm not going to make any money at it. It's not going to go, all these things start coming in. And I stopped myself and I said, that's okay for them to think that,
hmm.
because it is a hobby, I guess, until I get serious about it. But but I am serious about it now. And I think that's why everything is starting to fall into place because I know what my purpose is now. I understand what I'm supposed to do in the world, your energy or whatever, so because I'm thinking supposed to do, it's like, well, we all have a purpose in life. And I know what my purpose is, but I found a way to do it. And even
Yeah,
with writing the books, I still do that. I'm not going to quit. Just signed it 2 more books. That's like, okay, I'm going to write 2 more
it's
besides my
funny when you brought that story up. So something came up for me that happened in the beginning of my entrepreneurship and kind of throughout it. And I've only been in business for 2 years. And it started off really small and it's really morphed. There's been lots of changes, lots of lessons. You know,
own. Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's part of business, right? But
Yeah.
one of the big things that stood out to me, and you said it, like the hobby thing. So I was sitting down with my tax lawyer, right? And we were discussing, okay, how does this affect, our estate and what's going on? And I've created this business and, I'm still working in the engineering world, but then I've got this business too. And how does this affect everything? And he said to me, legally, if you go 3 years and you don't show a profit, it's considered a hobby.
Okay.
But I think that word, hobby, deflates your ambition.
That's it. That's
And I
exactly what it
felt
did.
that way,
That
right?
balloon goes.
Yeah, and I felt that way. And I think that's probably some of the things that held me back. I would have these revved up moments, where you're like,
Yes.
go, go, go. And then all of a sudden you're like pulled back and revved up and then pulled back. You have these like ebbs and flows and
Yeah.
how much effort you're putting into your business as opposed to, taking care of your family when you got two things going on. You're working and you're, trying to make a business. And I have so much respect for those that can just up and be done with one
Right.
thing and really work on that. And I've had a lot of people tell me, you'll never make anything out of your business until you leave the other one. And it was like, I just feel like I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't just up and take that risk for me, but I've seen other people do it and amazing. I'm glad that they did that. But I also understood that comment about the hobby was really holding me back. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I really thought about it on in a different level
Mhm.
that that's just somebody's opinion,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? I have so many
Yeah.
hobbies, crafting and painting and all
Oh,
those. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not trying to
yeah.
make money doing those, right?
No.
That's not
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. So why would I call my business a hobby? And I was like, and that's holding you back. That's in the back
Yeah.
of your mind. That's
It
like
made me
that's a
mad.
balloon is
Take
constantly
it for
being
real
deflated
made.
and pulling
Yeah.
you. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let that go, deflate and flow off into the air. I'm done
There
with
you
you.
go.
You can call it a hobby if you want, but I am going to make money doing this. I am
Yeah.
going to help people doing this, and this will be my business full time.
Right. And
I
how
will
much
get there.
money how much of a profit do you need to make before it's not a hobby? And it's like, I think there's a different mindset between hobby and building your business because maybe it's
Exactly.
going to take you 5 years to build your business. That doesn't mean it's been a hobby for 5 years. That means you've been working. You've been working hard. You've been putting in the hours. You're doing the learning, the training, everything you can do to get your business growing. So, yeah, calling a hobby, that's very deflating. Very perfect word to use for that. So, it's a hobby if it's a hobby. Hobbies are something you do, you enjoy. You're not out there to make money from it. You're there, and you may have a very nice hobby that you can make money at. Maybe you do sell some things here and there. And if you really wanted to, you could turn it into a business. But I don't think that's what entrepreneurship is. I don't think that's what we're doing. I think what we're doing is we're
Yeah.
busting our buns to make sure that we make this the best business. And sometimes we have to try different things to make sure of what we want to do. We call it shiny objects, chasing after this and chasing after that. I wonder if part of it is I'm chasing it because that looks like the dream that I want. And I need to know if this is the way to do it. And so
Mm,
you do have to try some different things. But I love that you use that word because that's
mm,
exactly what happened when they said that. It was just, but for me, I didn't let it hold me back. It made me mad.
yeah,
Like,
good.
this is not a hobby. And you're not going to call it that. I mean, I have to admit, for a couple of days, I was just kind of like, it bothered me so much that I had to learn how to deal with it and figure out why was it bothering me so much. So what if
Mm,
it's called a hobby? What's that mean? But what you said, I wish I would have known that before. So there you go, entrepreneurs. Great big hint for today. It's not a hobby. And it's the word deflating. So perfect for what you said, because that's exactly what happened. And for me, I got to the point that it said, you're not going to call it my hobby. And it made me mad at that person, not at the person themselves, but at the words they chose for saying that. And for me, it propelled me on. Um, and I'm not running on anger, but I think it propelled me, made me mad enough to get up and do something about it, to start making really tough choices that I didn't realize I hadn't made yet, and to go on and and do things that I hadn't done before. And at that point, it's like things started to fall into place.
mm,
I've been praying about learning to be a better steward with finances and know how to do it. So when my business really picks up and gets a profit, so it's no longer a hobby, I will know how to manage, not just manage, but how to wisely take care of the funds that are coming in and what to do with them so my business can keep growing and still invest and take care of things to make sure that if times get hard or things don't work out quite right, we're okay.
yeah.
So yeah,
One
thank
thing
you
that
for
you
that.
said there that kind of connects with this whole story of the hobby thing, right? It made me wonder, like, why is there a law? Like, my tax advisor, I think, said it. I don't know if it's a federal law or a state law or something about so many years that it then
Right.
becomes considered a hobby, and then maybe you can't write it off anymore,
Oh,
right? Because it's been, taking up money. And
right.
the reason that it stuck with me, it wasn't just that hobby thing, although yeah, it makes us deflated and angry, and then
Yeah,
you kind of come over that and you're like, no. But the other thing was every time I wanted to invest in my business, right, with either another training or something I needed, I was like,
right.
okay, this is going to take away from the profit. Does
Yeah,
that make my business not viable? But
yeah,
you need to invest in your business, and
yeah,
there is that building phase. And maybe this is why so many small businesses don't make it in the first few years,
yeah,
because they're so limited. Yeah, maybe it takes
yeah,
5 years to really be profitable because you're taking all of your earnings and putting it back into your business. So
exactly.
yeah, you're not showing a profit because it's a
It's stuck in your
constant
business.
flow,
It's still growing it. Right.
right? And I
Yeah.
think that's limiting, so
Yeah.
limiting. And maybe that's why people don't continue.
Yeah.
And I
And
figured, well, if they want to call it a hobby, what happens when I make $1 million? Then what are
yeah.
they going to
Yeah. This is my
say?
hobby. It's my millionaire hobby. There's a good title for somebody. There you go. Millionaire hobby. You've got a new book coming out there. But yeah, that's so true. And here we are, wisdom on the front porch. We're sharing wisdom. It doesn't necessarily have to stay in one avenue, but this is what happens when you talk with each other, when you bring great minds together, and they're all great minds because they're all learning, they're all growing, they're all doing something, they're thinking. And and whether you're starting out or you've been in it for 35 years, it's still that process of looking at things and wondering, what did you learn, what did you not learn. Look at how much you've learned in just the few years you've been going, and you're already being able to share with everybody in
Hmm,
your hobby.
in my hobby.
I think that's going to be our theme this show. It's your hobby. That's okay, I've got a
Oh,
millionaire hobby. what what is it? T. Harv Eker talks about. I have a millionaire mindset, and it's like, no, I changed that. I have a billionaire cash flow mindset. you know, and he says to touch your forehead while you say it.
Yeah.
but it's like a lot of it too is in how you think. I mean, my biggest hold back on anything I'm doing is my mind, the way I'm thinking, being deflated over that. I mean, there were times that somebody would say something, so I would pull back and, like, oh, well, they said that, that must be true. They know what they're doing, they're in it longer. And then I find out later someone else says, no, that's what people say, but this is the real truth behind it. And there is truth in what they're saying, but you don't let it stop you. And here's how you can keep going. And so when you hear these things that are deflating, negative, that make it seem like you're never going to make it, or maybe you're doing too much, so you better pull back. Don't listen.
Yeah,
Just
don't
don't
listen.
listen. But you consider it. You go, are they saying this because that's where their mind is going? And and are they saying it because it's something that's going to help me and I need to look at my situation, change the perspective a little so I can go further? You have to look at the whole picture, not just the one thing. And if it really bothers you, follow my suggestion if you don't mind. And that's to find out why it's bothering you. What
Hmm.
is it that happened? What emotion came up with it? What were you feeling when that was said? And as much as a lot of us don't like to acknowledge our emotions, they're there. And a lot of times they're there to protect us. A lot of times they're there to propel us forward. If I hadn't gotten angry at it, I wouldn't have been able to go further from where I was. If I'd gotten sad about it, I would have just held back and stayed back. And also through this process, I realized that my go to would have been to pull back, to say, oh, it's just a hobby. Well, now what do? I have to go find a business, something that's not a hobby, which would have been self sabotaging. And you don't
Hmm.
want to do that. So if somebody says something to you and it bothers you, go find one of your top five people, not the people you're around the most, but the people that help encourage you and help propel you forward in your business, and ask them, it's like, I heard this, it's bothering me. Let's just kind of talk about it a little bit and work on it that way.
Yeah, this you always have to remember that what people say is usually connected to them.
Oh, very
It's never
smart.
connected to you,
Yeah.
right? What comes out of, what people's reactions are connected to
Yeah.
their own life and experiences, right?
Right.
So that's why there's that saying you got to kind of take everything you hear with a grain of salt.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
if
Yes.
you take everything that somebody else says personally, you're not taking in that person's experiences, what they've seen other people do. Maybe
Right.
they've had family members, maybe they've tried things themselves. Those are their experiences. They
Right.
don't have all the information regarding your experience,
No.
right? And so a lot of people are just so controlled by what other people say and think.
Yeah.
And they're not living in your body,
No.
experiencing your world, whether it's your business or your personal life. And until you really start questioning that, like, okay, that's why I feel this way. What is my core wound or
Yeah.
belief that's being questioned here because of what they said? But then realizing, well, they said that based on their experiences,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
mine.
And what is John? Is it John Maxwell that talks about the cap? Their cap, as far as what they can see, what they believe, what they say you can do is here, but your cap might be up here.
Yeah.
So you need to get that cap out of your way so you can go up. It's like the gentleman that was talking with me, and we're in it about the same number of years. I think he was a year ahead of me. And he said to me, he says, how much do you want to make? So I told him how much you want to make. He goes, oh, come back to reality. You're never going to do that. Not at
Mm.
our age. You're not going to do it. Oh, this is another time that made me mad. I didn't let him know that. We finished our conversation, but I thought that may be what you think and where you're going to stop, but I'm going to get there. You know,
Louise Hay started Hay House at 60 years old,
isn't that something? You know,
right?
you
And
never
look
know.
at what become of
Yeah.
Hay House, right?
Colonel Sanders, 65 years old, when he finally got his business going. He tried so many other things before. 65 years old when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I mean, look at that. So don't put a cap on me. This is
Yeah.
this is my goal. And if I don't have that, what am I doing? I need to hit these smaller goals on the way to get to that. But it's like someone told my daughter what she was talking about what she wanted to do, and she was talking to someone who farmed and grew up on a farm and stuff, and my daughter wanted to do aquaponics and things like that. And this person told her, "Oh, that's just a pipe dream. Don't even start it." And I thought,
Oh,
of course, I knew about mindset and other things now, but I thought, why would you tell somebody that? Because that's what they
they're
believe.
dimming their light.
Trying to protect you from, getting into something over your head. Maybe she's not equipped yet. But I said this yesterday on one of my podcasts. God does not call the ones who are already equipped. He equips those he calls. So when we start and I'm a woman of faith and you don't believe in God, that's up to you. But the principle stands true that you don't start a business being fully equipped with everything you're going to need, because if you already had that, you wouldn't start your business. But you start your business and you go through the trainings and you go through the learnings and you attend conferences and events because you're equipping yourself to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
So
And this
it's,
isn't just in one spiritual realm.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
like
And
across multiples. Like if you read Deepak Chopra's The Seven Spiritual Laws of
yeah,
Success, right?
yeah,
And they
yeah.
are very profound core beliefs or values. You have a vision. You're not there when you first have that vision.
That's
A
right.
vision is out here, right?
Yeah,
And you have to imagine what that's going to be. Like if you're starting a career or starting a business or even just starting to write a book, you have to have this vision of what it is,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Before you can start getting there. And one of the other laws is the law of detachment, right? Don't hold on to what you think the steps are to get you there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I find this amazing when it comes to business and entrepreneurship because you could do this.
That's right.
You're not going to
In
do
fact, you
this,
probably will.
right? So don't hold on, detach from the ways that you're going to get there, but also detach from that outcome. Your vision is one thing, but what is you're supposed to do, maybe even bigger.
Yes. Yeah. I never would have gotten into podcasting if I hadn't started writing,
Mm.
you know. And it started with telling my grandkids stories. Probably started when I was a kid because I always wanted to write a book, but I never pursued to learn how to write. I never pursued to learn what I was passionate about because I hadn't really lived yet, hadn't found out those things. But my grandkids, I'm passionate about my grandkids. I love telling them stories. I love the life that they have in them and watching them grow and discover and learn new things and be excited about living. Um, and and to be a part of their lives and for them to include me into their lives, that is one of the best gifts I could ever have. And that ignites me to keep going because I want to give that gift to somebody else. Just that life and that passion and that pursuit and the victory of getting to where you're going and the journey along the way. How many times do people get in their vehicle and they just drive to get to where they're going and they don't see anything around them?
Yeah.
They don't see
Beautiful
the
trees.
clouds that are up there or the deer that are on the side of the road. And I think that maybe comes from my parents because we drove a lot. We went on a lot of road trips, a lot of weekend trips, but they were always talking about what's around them. And
Present.
yeah,
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 and that's a
I didn't
spiritual,
realize how
that's
present they really
being.
were. Yeah,
Yeah. Really just being in the moment all the time. You can't live in the past and you can't live in the future. It doesn't
no,
exist yet.
you're here
You
right
have to
now.
be in the here and the now and enjoy every moment of it because the past is just to learn from. That's
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 right.
that's the wisdom, right? The
Yeah.
future is yet to be, and you don't even know what tomorrow's going to be if you're going to even
Yeah.
exist tomorrow,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And these
So,
are the things
yeah.
that I think this is why people who have had traumatic experiences, life-threatening experiences, or a lot of people around them that have passed, that see things differently. They
Oh,
live in the
definitely.
present moment because they've been reminded that the gift of life
Yeah.
is very fleeting.
Yeah. It
If you
is.
don't enjoy every moment, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
why not? Like
Yeah.
as soon as you stop enjoying, that's when you get sick and die.
Yeah.
Like
And
my grandmother's 93 and she's, you know, as active as anybody I've ever seen.
my
Like
aunt,
that's
98,
why
same
she's,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
that's an
She passed away
example.
this year, but she was still just sharp as a tack. I mean, it was just, that's an old expression.
Yeah. It's a good one
But
though,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, just
Use your
smart.
brain.
Yeah. Yeah, life's too short. And if we're so busy focused on, I've got to get my business done, got to get my business done, you are missing out on so much around you, missing out. And what legacy are you leaving? You
Mm.
know, or
What example are you giving
yeah, yeah. What
to
are you
those around
teaching?
you,
What are
those you
you
care about?
teaching? And I think about that, young men do not hold doors open for women anymore. Young men do not stand up when a woman enters the room. They don't always take their hats off when there's women around or when they're in a church, because those are not things that are being taught anymore.
Mhm.
There's nothing more wonderful than having a man of any age, hold the door open for you because they're being kind. It takes a few seconds to be kind to somebody, you know.
And I think it's not just men, right? If
Yeah,
you see
well, it
somebody
is.
like
We've
you
all
holding a door
changed.
open for somebody else, like
Yep.
you see somebody that's struggling, you help them,
Oh, yeah.
right?
My
It's
kids were
it's
in
the
high
human experience.
Yeah, my kids were in high school, and one of the things from the youth group they were attending at the time, they were talking about learning how to be kind to others, and that it only takes a couple seconds to do that. And one of the things was, how many times have you brought the shopping cart back to the store or just left it out in the parking lot, not even in the stalls? And so their task that week was to go get a shopping cart and take it in. Well, my kids are overachievers. I have to be proud of them for that. They would go get all the carts. I mean, I
They
four of
would
them.
collect
It's
them
all
all.
four of them going out there getting all the carts and bringing them in. And people are like, "What are they doing?" And some of them are like, "Wow, thanks, that's really good." And then you would see somebody else look at them emptying their cart, and then they would take their cart back. So it's like
Example.
being an example for others.
Yeah.
And and yesterday, no, would have been on Wednesday. I went to the store and I was it was just nice. There was a parking space, not handicapped or anything, just right there close. And so I went to take my cart and it was empty. And I'm looking around and the cart things are way out in the parking lot. And I don't know why they're so far out. And it's like I see these other carts that are just kind of put up on the curb or whatever. And it's like, I'm not going to be lazy today. I'm going to just take my cart back inside. And someone was just finishing theirs. And I said, "You want me to take that for you?" And they were like, "Yeah, thank you." Because they knew where the place for the carts was way over there. And so I took those in and put them by. And I didn't need to be thanked for it. I didn't need to be acknowledged. Hey, I put your carts back here.
Mhm.
It's just I knew it. And I think that's where the difference comes from. I know what I did, what I didn't do. I know the times I've been in a hurry. I have to admit it, I've put them up on the side before. Um, Usually it's because I'm really hurting from surgery or whatever, and it's like I'm not walking any further. I'm going back, but it doesn't matter.
One of the
You
best
know,
experiments that I've done and I've talked with others about doing, especially when we talk about kindness,
yeah,
in like a meditation environment. I do a lot of meditation share circles, and we get together and we talk about an issue or something. And when kindness comes up, this always comes up for me because I believe people have been doing it around the world forever. And people don't think about it. All you have to do is smile.
yes,
You
yes.
walk down
I
the
was just
street
saying that
and somebody
yesterday.
looks miserable, you smile at them and you
Yes,
will see the change instantly. And
absolutely.
10 people, you smile at 10 people, guarantee all 10 are going to smile back
Yeah,
because
or
they're
they're
so
gonna look.
surprised.
Yeah,
It's a natural energy source,
it
right?
is. It
To have that
is.
kindness and just
Yeah,
you don't know what you could be giving that person
yeah.
with just that one
I have to
smile.
tell you the story I told yesterday. Somebody had told me this story. They knew a young man who was just so depressed, so sad. And he said, and he walked to work and he says, when I walk home, if nobody smiles at me, I'm going to end my life. And I thought, wow, what do you do if nobody smiles at you? You're going to base it on that? And he's walking home, nobody smiled, nobody smiles. Finally, one person looked at him and smiled and walked on. That's all they did. They didn't stop and say hi, they didn't have a conversation, they just smiled. And because that one person smiled, that young man turned his life around. He says, okay, life is worth living.
That was
I,
the sign he
just a
needed.
smile. What's that?
That's the sign he needed.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
basically set the intention that this is what I need to know, and it
yeah.
happened,
That's awesome. I love
right?
that.
That's being in
Intentions
the
make a
spirituality of
huge
life.
difference. Yeah. That's why we write down on our vision board what we want. We have our vision board, but we write it down. That's
Mm,
why we write down our gratitudes all the time. That's why we write down what am I after. There's power in words, there's powers in writing it down, there's powers in saying it out
yeah.
loud. So you think it, you write it down, you say it out loud. You're going to be surprised at what's going to happen. That's why we have, some people have on their refrigerator, it's like, we're going to sell our house for this amount of money on this day. And they see it and they say it out loud and it
And it has
happens.
to.
I have to admit, I tried that. It didn't happen, but other things did happen that were
Actually
great.
have to
It ended
believe
up
it for
being
it to
better
happen.
anyways. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you believe, but sometimes things are not going to go because something better is coming up ahead. You've got to
exactly.
realize
Maybe
that
it was
there's
meant to
something
be
better.
more.
And it was much better what
Yeah,
happened. So it's like, okay, but I still went through the process. I still did the work. And it's like, and if I hadn't have, would something better have come along or would I've just gotten what I was wanting? You know,
yeah. That's like
it's,
we said, that vision, it may be bigger.
yeah,
Don't attach yourself to it.
yeah.
It's funny, and you talked about gratitude. I'm actually putting forth just this coming week a gratitude challenge.
Nice.
I'm opening up a private Facebook group for anybody who wants to join on, and with 21 days, because it takes 21 days to create a habit.
Yes.
21 days, putting forward 3 things you're grateful for every day between now and Thanksgiving,
Oh,
to just
wonderful.
really put you in that mindset because it can change everything about how you live. It can change your presence. It can reduce your depression, anxiety. It moves you forward in a different way. And you can just be grateful for the beautiful tree outside that's changing colors.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this momentous thing. It can be, I'm grateful to have this conversation with you today,
Yes. Yes.
right? So just put it out there. Look me up on Facebook, Crystal Moon Holistic Healing. We'll be doing this challenge if you want to join. It's free and fun.
So we really should talk about what you do. We've kind of
Oh, it's
talked
funny because
about it,
we're
but
wrapping up and
yeah,
I have a
but
call very soon.
yeah,
So
yeah, but yeah, you
yeah,
can see Crystal
I'm a
does. She gets from her
transformational
heart.
coach. Yeah, I help people one-on-one and in group environments. I also do workshops and speaking engagements with everything in their life, the mind, body, spirit connection. You have chronic illnesses, chronic disease, you're dealing with things, you want to change your lifestyle, I help you with that. If you're dealing with, all the emotional turmoil of, traumas in your life and just having a rough time with relationships, I help with that. All of my clients, they come in with one thing, but we always work on a whole bunch of different
Yes,
things because that's what
everything's
life is.
connected. Everything's
And just
connected.
having a confidant who, I believe you're all whole. You're not broken. And
Yeah,
you have the power and the resources inside of you. I'm
yeah.
here to just ask you the questions to help pull them out.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's wonderful. So tell us again how we can get a hold of you.
Crystal Moon Holistic Healing is the name of my business. So you will find that on Facebook and Instagram. I'm also on Facebook under my personal name, Crystal Robinson, and on LinkedIn under Crystal Robinson.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Love your insight on things. Um, and now I know why I was supposed to tell you that story. We covered a lot.
We did. We had a great time. We could probably talk for hours.
Yes, we
So
could. Yes, we could. But I'll let you go. I
thank
know
you so
you've got,
much.
yeah. Thank
I
you. And thank you,
appreciate
our
it.
audience
Felt
for
honored.
being. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm honored to be part of this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And thank your audience for joining us. I really appreciate you. And remember, you can always comment on the shows. You can leave, uh, sorry, my mind is not thinking fast enough. You can tell us things that you want us to talk about, topics that you would like to have. You go to wisdomonthefrontporch.com and let's talk to you next time. Hear from you next time on Wisdom on the Front Porch. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you. Love and light.
Thank you for joining us today on Wisdom on the Front Porch with your host, Ellis Kirkpatrick. You can find us on our website, wisdomonthefrontporch.com, see previous episodes of the podcast, and view issues of the magazine. Did you know you can submit questions, leave reviews, or suggest topics? You can also tell us where your favorite front porch location is and what it means to you. We hope you gain value and insight from today's or previous talks. We appreciate your support for us so we can continue to provide value and expertise to you and others. Subscribe to Wisdom on the Front Porch magazine and receive a second year absolutely free. This is a limited time offer available exclusively to those who mention the name of today's podcast. Join in next week when we bring you another great insight into the world of entrepreneur culture and lifestyle. Make today a great day. Always believe that something wonderful is going to happen.